Toronto Maple Leafs have just made a huge acquisition acquiring defenseman Jake Muzzin from the LA Kings. We'll jump into all the details and give you my analysis coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So as I mentioned off the top, the Maple Leafs have made a massive acquisition here, acquiring defenseman Jake Muzzin from the LA Kings. Now, the Maple Leafs decor is something we've been talking about for weeks, for months, really since last year, the year before, something they really needed upgraded in order to be taken more seriously as a Stanley Cup contender and really have a legitimate shot at not only making the playoffs, but making it deep into the playoffs and going for that elusive Stanley Cup that this franchise has been craving for so long. Now, Jake Muzzin comes over from LA with a wealth of experience, some Stanley Cup championship rings. He knows what it takes to win. He's been in some long playoff battles, and I do think he's going to be an excellent addition to this Maple Leafs decor. Now, of course, it's been speculated all along that the Maple Leafs are really looking to shore up the right side of the defense because more of their top defenders are left shot D. However, it was mentioned before that if those price tags were going to be too high or they're having too much difficulty making those acquisitions, that they would look to a guy like Jake Muzzin to shore up the left side. Now, there's been some talk recently as well that other teams are becoming more interested in Muzzin, and they must obviously felt the need to get this deal done ahead of time to really allow him to become a part of the team and get more in sync with everybody here before the playoffs and not to wait till the last minute here at the NHL deadline. Now, I know Mike Babcock typically likes to have your right shot guy and your left shot on the left. Like, he's a pretty stickler that way, but somebody might have to play their offside here with Muzzin being a lefty here. Obviously, other guys like Gardner and Riley are left shot defensemen as well. So we'll see what happens here. But now the return package going to the LA Kings are forwards Carl Grundstrom, defenseman Sean Durzi, and the 2019 first round selection of the Toronto Maple Leafs. No salary was retained for Jake Muzzin. He's got a pretty reasonable contract, making $4 million, so it certainly fits well with the Maple Leafs salary cap situation. That pretty well guarantees that Jake Gardner won't be back next year, which we've already kind of discussed at great length before, that he's probably going to prove to be too expensive. Muzzin comes with a term on his contract, a cheaper price tag signed for more than just this season as well. So I do think for a lot of reasons, including salary cap financial reasons, that Jake Muzzin should be an excellent fit here with the Leafs and really solidify that top four of the D here quite a bit moving forward. Now, Carl Grundstrom's a pretty solid prospect in my opinion. He came over, played a lot with the Marlies at the end of last year into the playoffs, was a huge part of their playoff success and their Calder Cup victory. He put up 14 points in 20 playoff games, was an absolute beast for the Marlies in the playoffs, and was, like I said, a big part of their Calder Cup victory. Now, Sean Durzi's a 2018 second round selection of the Maple Leafs. Played most of his junior hockey in the UHL for the Owen Sound Attack. He was recently traded to the Guelph Storm. This will be his final year of junior. He recently turned 20. He is currently unsigned right now, so the Kings obviously will hold his signing rights, but he does look to have a lot of potential in my opinion. He's a pretty offensively gifted defenseman, putting up some pretty excellent numbers there in the OHL this year and the last couple of years. Really, he's really developed quite nicely. The Kings can get Durzi signed and get him into their system for next season. That'll certainly be a win for them as well. And of course, they acquired the Maple Leafs 2019 first round selection, which likely won't be an overly high pick, but still it's going to be an extra first round pick. Nonetheless, of course, the Kings first round pick themselves likely going to be a lottery pick, so it's hard to say exactly where they're going to fall in the draft, but it's certainly going to be a higher pick, that's for sure, based on how their season's going. And they'll throw in the Maple Leafs first rounder as well, even though it's probably going to be somewhere and towards the end of the first round. Still, first round pick's a first round pick, and it's still a pretty steep price tag to pay. But it's already been mentioned before that the Maple Leafs were going to do this type of deal. It was likely going to be their first round pick, and prospects in play, guys like Kasperi Kapanen likely weren't going to be available. We mentioned maybe the possibility of like a Timothy Liljegren, so they get to retain him, which is also good. Even Calle Rosen, another defenseman that's been kind of rumored might be traded to bring in more experience. So they keep those guys, so there's still a lot of young depth on their blue line, which is good for the organization. They move out Grundstrom, which, like I said, he's a solid prospect, but realistically, There's a lot of guys in the forward depth chart ahead of him, and it's hard to say when he would have got his shot with the Maple Leafs and really how much of a role he would have been given here over the next few years. So they really didn't sacrifice a whole lot, in my opinion. I think it's a great deal for Toronto. They had a lot of experience in Muzzin, and I think really going forward, this should really give them a much better shot at winning in the playoffs. So, of course, as always, I want to hear your thoughts down in the comment section. Let me know what you think of this big trade for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They've got the defenseman they've been looking for some time. Do you think they're done, though? They still have some salary cap space they can play with this year if they want to continue adding, but likely with the Muzzin being already on the books now, I would think anybody else they add likely would be in the form of a rental. But let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think of this deal? And are the Leafs done, or will they continue to add more depth here before the trade deadline? If you're new to the channel, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, and there's plenty of content here for all hockey fans to enjoy. So if you're new, hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up before you go. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We'll catch you next time.